What's going on, everybody? My name is Wes. It's a beautiful snowy day out here in Pennsylvania, and today I wanted to show you how and why I built this brush pile behind me to create habitat for native wildlife and to increase the ecological viability of my land. Okay, great. Now that you saw that montage, you know how to build a brush pile. Just pile up some logs and sticks and you're good to go. Of course, I'm just messing around. There's definitely more I want to tell you about this. For one, why would I want to go through all the effort of building a brush pile? Well, the truth is, a simple brush pile can serve a variety of purposes. First of all, the logs I laid down for the base are going to decompose, nourishing a fungal network called mycelium beneath them. This mycelium will help the trees absorb more nutrients from the soil. Second, this decomposing wood is going to feed all sorts of different insects, which will attract all sorts of creatures who want to eat those insects. Last of all, those same creatures looking for insects will use my brush pile to escape from predators. And if we're lucky, these animals may also nest here too. Brush piles are known to attract all sorts of different wildlife that want to nest inside. Songbirds, chipmunks, squirrels, rabbits, salamanders, frogs, lizards, and snakes. Not only that, but wherever there are prey, there are predators too. It's quite possible that my brush pile will give me the opportunity to see hawks, owls, or even foxes, like our friend we like to call Clyde, who we've captured on our game camera from time to time. Well, now that I have you excited about building a glorified pile of sticks, I can share how I built my brush pile. The first thing to think about is where you're gonna find all the logs and branches to build your brush pile. The easiest thing to do is to use the resources available to you on your own land. Just so happens that we had recently had a big branch fall off of a tree during a storm. So with a little help from my father-in-law, we cut that down. We also had a dead tree on our land that needed to be cut down. This pine tree had been standing dead for a few years, and it was only a matter of time before it blew down in a storm and potentially did damage to a nearby building. So it only made sense for us to cut that tree down as well. You'll notice that I wasn't cutting down the tree myself. I've never cut down a tree and I've never used a chainsaw. Thankfully, my father-in-law does have experience with these things, and he took time to bring down the tree and teach me how to use a chainsaw so I could dismantle the tree on my own for the most part. This is a good time to share that I'm not an expert in rewilding my land, but my goal with this project is to learn as I go and document my progress. I'm sure I'm gonna make mistakes from time to time, or there might be simpler ways to do things. The point is, you don't have to be an expert in forestry or have a degree in ecology to be a steward of the land. All that's required to rewild your land is a love of nature and a desire to learn. That's exactly where I'm starting from, so let's learn together. So after my lesson in how to use a chainsaw safely, I went to work cutting apart the tree and transporting it in the most hilarious way possible to the location I was planning on building the brush pile. What can I say? It would have been hard to haul these big logs across our lawn by hand, and we have this golf cart, so it just made sense. So that's it. We took that whole tree apart.
We did.
Thankfully, my friend PJ was helping me out because that was a lot to carry. Now that we dismantled and transported this entire tree to the location we were building our brush pile, all that's left is to start assembling it. But first, I want to explain why we chose to build our brush pile in this stand of white pines. First and foremost, we wanted to keep it out of sight. Nobody wants to see a giant pile of sticks in the middle of the lawn, especially not the township. I'm sure they would have been happy to give us a fine for having this brush pile in plain view. So to avoid turning our land into an eyesore for us and the neighbors, we thought it would be best to conceal our brush pile in the pines. The other reason I thought to place the brush pile in this stand of trees was because over the years I've observed wildlife already using our white pines for cover. So it makes a lot of sense to give these critters a place to nest, and the insects our brush pile will attract could be a great food source for any animals wanting to make this place their home. Now it's finally time to begin assembling our brush pile. We started out by rolling in our biggest logs to build a nice solid foundation. For the brush pile to be large enough to be a good habitat for mammals, it needs to be a minimum of 10 feet in length and width. We cut our logs into 4-foot sections so we could move them easily enough. So using 3 logs in the length of the base, it came out to be about 12 foot by 12 foot. We laid our logs in perfect rows, but in retrospect, it would have been best if we laid them a little more irregularly. The goal is to create a maze-like atmosphere inside the base with plenty of spaces for animals to hide from predators. Next, we started to lay similar logs on top, perpendicular to our base. At this point, I realized my mistake of laying the logs too uniformly and began to feed some of these logs into the base to create the maze-like atmosphere I mentioned before. We continued to build the brush pile using our largest logs first, and as the pile got taller, we were left with all the smaller sticks. We just continued to dump all the brush we had on top of the pile until we used everything we had. When you're done, the brush pile should be between 4 and 8 foot high. It took a lot more brush than I was expecting to make this pile as large as it is. Our brush pile consists of an entire pine tree that was easily over 35 feet in height. We also used a huge branch that fell off of another tree and whatever other dead branches we could find on our land. All right, so this is it. It's just a big pile of sticks. It doesn't look like much, but it's pretty much done. I'm almost finished. I have one last step to do. And I wanted to mention, I honestly could not have done this so easily without PJ, and he just showed up and decided to help, and I'm really thankful for it.
That's a pleasure, man. Anytime I can give back to nature and do my part to be a custodian of nature.
It was your pleasure to lug logs and sticks all around the property?
It definitely was. It was a good workout. Natural workout.
Oh man, I'm really glad I had you.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
So we're gonna finish up, and the last thing to do really, we're gonna cut off some pine branches and lay it over top. Because essentially the shelter for all these little critters is already built. But it might be nice if we covered this over with some pine boughs and then rain wouldn't permeate as easily. So that's the last step, and we're gonna get to it. So that's it. We built a giant pile of sticks. Now this heap of logs is gonna start working for us. The decomposing logs feeding the soil and the insects, which will in turn feed some native creatures while giving them a place to call home. I'm excited to see what animals our brush pile attracts. We're always finding dead branches around our property, so whenever that happens, we'll add them to the pile. Building this brush pile was the first project of many I have planned to rewild my land. I have this dream to turn my property into a haven for native wildlife and a sanctuary for me and my family. I plan to build bat houses, owl houses, plant a native wildflower garden, native shrubs, and as many trees as I possibly can. All along the way, I want to document the process, the creatures our land supports, and ultimately show the transformation of my land, learning as I go. So if you like this video and want to learn with me as I rewild my land, feel free to show your support by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.